Okay, so let's talk about what we call running lanes, or another word for this is just your role as a life group leader and who does what, right? One of the most common questions I get as a pastor is a life group leader will come to me and simply say, "Hey, John, is this something that I handle? Or do you take care of this?" And while there's no way that we could possibly answer every single iteration of that question, especially in one video, it's just not going to happen. There's a couple things I want to let you know that lay the foundation of this before we talk some of the specifics. The first thing to remember and recognize is that you're a member of our team. So at any moment, if you have any question on whether or not there's something going on that's supposed to be something that you handle, or maybe a pastor handles or a flock leader handles, if you have any question on that, just ask. You can easily email us, text us, talk in person. The easiest thing to do is simply just ask. You don't have to assume. Now, the second thing that we want to help frame the conversation around what your role and essentially what your running lane is as a leader is that please see yourself as the first leader, the first communicator, and the first line of defense with our students. What I mean by that is in most situations, you're going to be the one to handle it. In most situations within the life group, it is going to be yours as the leader of that group. Remember, you are a leader first. It is going to be yours to handle, whether that be communicating things to students or the parents of the students in your group, whether that be handling difficulties or dysfunctional things that arise, and whether that be the teaching element within it. You are first and foremost the primary leader, the primary communicator, and the primary line of defense in what's happening within the life group. Now, with those principles in place, let me talk a little bit about what we mean by that, right? Let's actually walk through a little bit of how that practically looks in your life as a life group leader. So we're going to look at three different roles. We're going to look at your role or your running lane. We're going to look at the running lane of flock leaders, where if you recall, a flock leader is over a group of life group leaders, just overseeing, giving them care and coaching. And then the role of our student ministry team, whether that be our ministry assistants, residents, or pastors. So then we're going to try to take those three categories. So for example, when it comes to the actual discussion of the life group, that is yours. You are the discussion leader. You are the one that takes the curriculum that we provide, and it is yours to have the freedom to begin to edit and move and make that curriculum something that is going to work for the students in your group. Now, we are going to work hard to make it something that is genuinely beneficial and good for you. But know that, again, you're the primary leader. If there's a question that doesn't work in there, cross it out. Write your own question in there. You are the leader of that group. Now, within leading the group, the role of the flock leader is that they're going to be there to help coach you. Every once in a while, they're going to join within your life group just to see how things are going. And if it's absolutely needed in a big pinch, they'll be there to fill in on nights where maybe you're sick and there's an emergency. Now, moving on, when it comes to some of the practicals, things like, say, for example, attendance or students that come for the very first time. Again, you're the first line of communication. So if a student shows up on a life group night, you are the attendance taker. It is your responsibility to make sure that we get the information of that visiting student that then you can hand back to us. Or if a student misses, again, you are the first line of defense. You are the one to call them, text them, and invite them back into that group. Now, what we will do as a ministry is we'll help provide materials for you. We'll provide the cards, the online stuff where you track attendance, all of that. We'll make sure that you have that. But again, you are primary in that. When it comes to meeting with students one-on-one, our hope and our expectation is that you would meet with them one-on-one before or after or outside of life group. It really is the core action that makes a life group more meaningful than anything else. But also, our flock leaders want to meet with you one-on-one. As you care for students, we want to care for you. Now, as you meet with students one-on-one, there may be things that come out that are difficult or awkward, just we call the tough stuff, including mandate report issues. We, as a student ministry staff, as an HSM staff, or an MSM staff, we will be the one to handle it. If something comes out within any type of one-on-one discussion that is uncomfortable or awkward, you just don't know, you come directly to us with that information, and then we'll kind of walk through a process of what you do. We will also talk about this much more in individual training within HSM and MSM training. We also expect and hope within your running lane that you would communicate regularly with parents. That we have all that we put out as a ministry. We put out a monthly newsletter. We'll do everything that we can to communicate with parents. But few things matter more than if you, even on a weekly basis, just clue parents into what's going on in the lives of your life group and within the student ministry. What we'll help provide you with is a yearly calendar, so you know what's going on and you can be, again, the first line of defensive communication with those parents. If you're preemptive in communication, it means a ton. When it comes to student discipline, you are the primary discipliner, meaning that if something funky is happening in the life group, that's on you first. We ask that you as the life group leader step into the discipline because we hope that you have the relationship. Now, if it doesn't go well, that's where the flock leader comes in. Their role is to aid you in that discipline if the student does not respond to what you're doing. And if still the student does not respond, that's when we as a student ministry team step in. Whether that maybe even includes a phone call home to a parent, that is something that then we will handle. And in that process, we will also back up the flock leader and we will back you up to the student and to the parents. If there are any issues that happen between you and your co-leader, and it could possibly happen, right? It turns out that the two of you are human beings, which means that you're going to be imperfect. Every pairing of co-leaders, even if you're best friends, is going to be imperfect. If there are any initial struggles between you and your co-leader, again, we ask that you first biblically go to them, work it out with them in humility and love and understanding. If for some reason you're unable to, the next step within that, the running lane of the flock leader, is to help build that trust between the two of you and resolve that potential conflict. If still, after that, it still is not working, then that's again where we as a student ministry staff step in, hopefully can build biblical conflict resolution and bring you guys to a place of harmony within that. Finally, and this is maybe the most important thing, within your running lane is the thing that's going to always be a part of your life, is that we hope and expect that you live a life that is an example of faith to students, not just students, but really people, right? That you are living out your faith in such a way that it would be honorable to emulate that. Now, the role of the flock leader within that is just to encourage you and just ask you, how you doing? How are things going? What's going well? What's not? How's life at home? How's kids? How's family? How's work? All of those encompass who you are. We understand that leading in the student ministry and life group leading, it's one small part of what you do. But we hope that in this part of your life that you do this with us, that we care for you well. And our role as a student ministry team is, I hope, and we hope that we do a really, really good job of encouraging you consistently, equipping you consistently, and building you up and training you to be a better and better life group leader. And I also hope that you hear thank you from us a lot. That's what we can do. This doesn't encompass every part of our running lane, but again, I want to remind you that as you think of your role, that you are the primary leader, that you are the first line of defense when it comes to discipline issues or anything going on, and you are the primary communicator to the students in your group and those of their families.